have a few that I'm working on that will eventually be uploaded, but this one will just be a vlog update about a couple of new things that I've been getting into recently: forest bathing and spinning yarn. So for the last month or so, I've been working on becoming a certified forest bathing instructor. I'm currently taking a self-paced course, and I'm hoping to finish and start doing classes by this fall. According to Treeming, the organization that offers the certification course, forest bathing, or Shinrin-yoku, is a therapeutic practice that encourages us to slow down, step into the forest, and embrace the healing power of nature. Through guided exercises, you will learn to immerse yourself fully in the natural world, allowing the gentle whispers of the wind and the rustling leaves to soothe your soul. The essence of forest bathing lies in the mindful connection with the environment, bringing about a sense of security, clarity, and profound self-discovery. This is something that I've been kind of thinking about for a while. I just didn't know that it already exists, has a name, and already has a lot of scientific research to back up its benefits. I've been slowly formulating an idea for something similar on my own, but wasn't completely sure how to go about implementing it. When I was writing my Ishtar Fest presentation, what I really had in mind was actually taking people out into nature to help them to connect with nature in a spiritual way. That obviously wasn't feasible for an online event, which is why I wrote the guided meditation instead. But the idea of being able to actually go out into the forest to help people connect with nature was still stuck in my mind. Then I started getting some other ideas for how spending time in nature could be utilized for therapeutic benefits while I was at a workshop on nature-based curricula for K through 12 educators. Some of the activities seemed like they could be adapted for adults and be used in a way that could help with things like reducing anxiety, healing from trauma, or just connecting to nature and to one's own senses, rather than strictly about environmental education and meeting state educational standards. Then, that same week, I started listening to an audiobook that I found from the library called Nature Fix. In one part, it talked about how in South Korea they have special healing forests, where forest healing instructors take people out into the forest for the purpose of helping them to heal from conditions such as anxiety and depression by doing mindfulness exercises and just spending time in nature. It has even been shown to be helpful for cancer patients. That sounded exactly like what I wanted to do, so I started researching online to see if there was anything like that in the United States and how to get started doing it. I found that there were a few places to get certified as a forest bathing instructor. Most of them were cost prohibitive for me at this time, but I found one that was more affordable, so I signed up. It's an online at your own pace thing. I've been doing practice sessions with my husband, and I'm planning to offer free sessions with groups soon to get some more practice. So if anyone in the Cleveland area is interested, let me know. Once I'm ready, I'm planning on offering forest bathing classes as a side business. I'm thinking I'll develop different programs to meet different needs. I'll have more spiritually focused programs, as well as programs that are more focused on stress and anxiety relief. Because not everyone has the same needs, but I think that everyone can benefit from forest bathing. Okay, so back to the potential spiritual aspects of forest bathing and connecting with nature. While I was putting together my Ishtar Fest presentation, I was thinking how I'd really like to be able to take participants out into nature to help them to find a spiritual connection within nature. Modern people seem to have this ingrained idea that nature and civilization are completely separate, and perhaps that the spiritual world is also completely separate from both nature and civilization. But I don't necessarily see these as useful distinctions. Nature and the spiritual world are completely intertwined with each other, and civilization grew out of nature, perhaps with the guidance of the gods or spiritual beings, depending on your viewpoints. But also, human civilization isn't like this super unique separate thing either. The building of cities isn't really that different from ants building colonies or beavers building their dam complexes. The biggest difference is that these other animals work as an integrated part of their ecosystems, whereas humans have become so disconnected from nature that we build against natural cycles instead of in partnership with the rest of nature. So I think that the first step in fixing all of the problems we've caused is just learning how to slow down and reconnect with the natural world. Since the natural world is so intertwined with the spiritual, anyone who already has a spiritual practice can use this connection to connect with the natural world. So that was kind of the thought process behind my guided meditation for my presentation and for how forest bathing could be utilized in spiritual practice. Civilization exists because we were able to weave the foundations of civilization from resources provided to us by nature, quite literally. One of the earliest ways that humans learned to transmute natural materials into the building blocks for civilization was by spinning natural fibers into yarn and thread, and then weaving them into textiles. Which brings me to the next topic for this little vlog. I've also recently started learning how to hand spin my own yarn. I watched a YouTube video about spinning and Magick, and then I ordered some spinning supplies on a whim. And I have been wanting to learn to spin for a while to eventually be able to recycle my yarn scraps and old worn out clothing into new yarn. I'm starting with normal wool fiber though to make learning easier on myself. I want to get the hang of spinning before I worry about preparing the fiber myself. I also want to eventually try to make my own plant fibers. I saw some videos about making fiber from nettles. I have a lot of white snakeroot in my yard, which looks a little bit like nettles, so I want to investigate whether or not it has the same kinds of bast fibers. If it works, I bet fiber from something like white snakeroot would be good for protective magic, since that plant is poisonous when ingested. I've also seen videos about yarn made from milkweed and from rose bast fibers. Milkweed fibers would probably be good for abundance magic, since milkweed is the host plant for monarch butterflies. Rose fibers could be used for magic related to love or sexuality. The possibilities are endless. Even specific magical applications aside, there is just something magical about being able to take materials given to you by nature and transforming them into objects that are useful to humans. So I ordered this set with a top and bottom whirl spindle from Etsy. It also has a little bowl for supported spinning. But they weren't going to be delivered until Monday, so I also ordered this larger top whirl spindle from Amazon, along with a little bit of wool with overnight shipping. I am trying to stop buying so much stuff from Amazon, but I failed this time. I also got this little mini nitty knotty and this vintage distaff. I got the distaff off of eBay, and it said it's vintage, which supposedly means between 20 and 100 years old, but it's eBay, so really it could have been made anywhere between a month ago and 200 years ago. Who knows? This came with a little bit of fiber attached to it. I'm not really sure what it is, but it did have a little bug exoskeleton stuck in it, so I'm going to freeze that little bit before I even think about touching it again. I also got this nice hot pink wool from Etsy alongside my 2 spindle set. I'm just using a regular staff as a distaff at the moment. I bet Magic staffs and wands were originally just repurposed distaffs anyway. The whorl-less styles of spindles look suspiciously like wands too. Anyway, I love how the hot pink yarn here kind of matches my hair. Manic Panic should make wool dye to match their hair dyes. I usually use the Pink Warrior color, which raises money for the Breast Cancer Research Foundation. So they should do a wool dye version to raise even more money for cancer research too. My first few attempts at spinning so far, predictably, haven't turned out great. They're pretty uneven with overspun and underspun bits. But that's okay. I can just say they're art yarn, which seems to be trendy lately. And I was so excited to use my first hand spun yarn that I crocheted with it directly off of the spindle without any further finishing. I wasn't sure what to make up with it, but a while ago I went down a rabbit hole reading about the history of crochet, and I found the first known published crochet pattern, which was published in a knitting book in the 1800s and makes a simple little purse thing. So I thought that was as good as anything to try out for my first yarn. I didn't have quite enough yardage, so I just crocheted until I ran out, and this is what I ended up with. I thought this wonky little shape kind of looked like a mushroom top if you flipped it upside down, and it also has this little hole in the middle on the top up here where I couldn't tighten my magic ring anymore due to how bulky and strange my yarn was. So I decided I should make a mushroom yarn bowl out of this. So I spun some more wonky yarn using some random wool I had that's meant to be used as stuffing. This yarn ended up possibly even worse than the first one, but I figure that's okay because I need the bottom of my experimental yarn bowl to match the top. I wanted to make a little bit more yarn too, so I also made a little tray to hold various crochet doodads. I also tried an experiment with just plying some random acrylic yarn I had together. This color combination is kind of ugly, but I just took some leftover dark blue and plied it together with some dark orange that I had way too much of. I am trying to reduce the amount of acrylic I use and go for more natural yarns. I'm especially trying to use natural yarns for items that I make for devotional or ceremonial purposes. Once I get the hang of spinning and start to produce better quality yarn, I want to start using my own yarns for ritual items. I have an idea for a yarn based on lapis lazuli that I want to make and use to crochet something for Inanna. Maybe a prayer shawl or a ceremonial robe to wear in ritual for her or something. I'm thinking maybe a blend of wool and silk, dyed mainly a dark blue with a couple lighter shades of blues and grays mixed in, and then plied with a thin strand of gold yarn. Maybe it'll be a 3-ply yarn with one darker blue single, one mixed blue single, and then the thinner gold single. I think I've accidentally let myself become a trad wife. I do old-timey domestic chores for funsies, and I'm obsessed with a deity from the ancient Near East that hardly anyone worships anymore. I heard that spinning can help you to go into a trance state, so I'm hoping to be able to use it in my magical practice once I get good enough at spinning to actually be able to go into a trance while doing it. I'm thinking that since basically every culture for the last 10,000 years has done some sort of hand spinning, that it will be a good way to connect with my ancestors. I'm guessing that half of them are watching me and judging how bad I am at spinning, and the other half are just like, the fuck are you doing house chores as a hobby for? You don't have to do that anymore. I've also been trying to find information on spinning and textile production in Mesopotamia, particularly in Sumer. I found some pictures of Sumerian spindle whorls on the Met Museum website, but I can't really find much information on specific techniques they might have used in textile production or spinning. So if anyone has any info, send it my way. I want to try to make my own reproductions of the whorls from the museum collection. I did make a little clay whorl a few days ago with air dry clay. I haven't tried it out yet. My teacher for Earth's Magic class asked me to teach a class about how to write in cuneiform, and I couldn't stop myself from taking a bit of the clay to make this little spindle whorl while everyone was working on their tablets. But I want to make some more that are actually based on the artifacts I saw. And I guess I'll just use a stick and make up a design for the spindle shaft, since those weren't preserved in the archaeological record. Maybe I should learn how to weave so I can make historically accurate textiles. I only know how to crochet, which is a super modern invention. Well, I've been rambling on about spinning and forest bathing for quite a while now, so I'm going to end this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.